Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Roasted Mind. I apologize again for the delay for another 3 weeks. It's been a little bit busy, but I'm not going to make another excuse as per my last episode. So I just hope that you're doing okay because I sure as hell have been. I've been enjoying kind of like just taking everything in recently. I've been really enjoying living my life. I broke a couple boundaries for myself. I hit a couple milestones. I don't know, things have just been, or maybe I've just felt good especially like this past week. So cheers to that, I guess. Today you notice that I have a hot matcha latte, not iced. And iced, I didn't do iced because that's kind of the reason of the video. That's kind of like the topic of the video. And so today's episode is going to be based on opinions or quote unquote hot takes and how much you should value your own opinions and hot takes and how not necessarily everybody needs to know about them. I also have to say, I kind of got the inspiration from this idea from trying multiple matcha lattes at coffee shops. And one thing that I've noticed about these coffee shops is that a lot of them don't offer hot matcha. A lot of them only offer iced matcha. And it started to kind of click with me that, yeah, that's kind of the trend, right? To order these iced matcha lattes, vanilla iced matcha, rose, whatever other flavors they have, cardamom. I know that some places have bourbon or blueberry, strawberry. They're all, don't get me wrong. If they're made right, they're really good. But it really is because of this trend that iced matcha is taking a hold of, primarily from like TikTok and stuff like that, where that's kind of like the quote unquote girly drink, you know? You don't want coffee, you still need your caffeine, you can get a matcha. And I'm not disproving matcha. I mean, I have one right here. And I think I made a pretty good matcha, actually. Maybe could use a little less water when I was doing it. I did kind of use a little too much on accident. But I know that if I were to make it again tomorrow or later on in the day, if I need another boost of caffeine, that I'll be able to get it right. That sip I just took tasted really good for a matcha. For an American making matcha, right? A Mexican American making matcha. But one of the things that I've kind of, noticed is that there's no hot matcha anywhere. And I wonder why. I wonder why there isn't any hot matcha or why there's no kind of variations of these lattes in a hot form. And it kind of made me wonder, and I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't gotten to ask these cafes or these baristas or anything. But I wonder if they have it kind of pre-made already in the back, like the matcha milk, and then they just, or matcha water kind of concentrate, and then they just add in the milk and the flavor and everything iced afterwards. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't think so because I've seen these places sell matcha. Some of them sell matcha from like the can and everything, but I just don't know. Maybe I should ask before I speak my opinion out there in the world. But yeah, no, this is gonna be a hot take, right? Hot take, 100% value opinion. Hot take, not every cafe needs matcha. Just because matcha is one of like the biggest sellers right now doesn't mean your cafe needs to have it. There's so many times where I've tried an iced matcha latte because that's what they had, and it was bad. Milky, just didn't taste anything like matcha. Was more like cereal milk, which isn't what I'm going for when I get matcha. And so that's kind of like my hot take, is that not every cafe needs to offer a matcha. When matcha is done well from like a matcha cafe, quote unquote, like Matcha Maiko or something like that, it's really good. It's stellar. Hojicha, I love a hojicha, but when it's not done well and it's too iced, like too much ice and too much milk, and it's just it's not good. Period. That's just my take. And kind of these values that you kind of hold, these opinions. My opinion on iced matcha, your opinion could be on music or maybe a food that everybody likes but you don't like. One popular one that I think of is cilantro tasting like soap, or I don't like the texture of shrimp, right? I'm not saying me, but other people have had that I've heard. Or I like cold weather, I like hot weather. I don't like garlic. I don't know, anything. These opinions should be kind of steadfast and held steady to you. They should really be unique and identifying and not really taken back. there are many times where I've had an opinion or I've kind of thought one thing but switched to the other because of the people around me. And I'm not talking like they've influenced me to change. Oh, I used to not like this flavor, now I do like this flavor. I'm not talking about like that. I mean, I believe something strongly, but because the people around me don't believe it, I don't vocalize it. And maybe that's a confidence issue. Maybe that is a self-esteem issue. Maybe it's kind of like the many versus the one type of deal that you might be feeling. But I do believe that it's important to continue to hold these, because these opinions and these values and these quote-unquote hot takes are what make you unique. They would make you special. And it can be embarrassing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and saying that it will be embarrassing if you have one interest that nobody else shares, but that's your interest, right? That's what makes whatever makes it interesting is only interesting to you. That's what makes you an individual. That's what makes you unique. I don't believe every cafe should offer an iced matcha, and I'm probably going to get a million people that are going to argue against me because that's their drink of choice. Why am I discriminating? How little places are there that offer authentic, unique matcha experience? And I will say there's not many. But that doesn't mean that these cafes have to fill the role of offering these matcha drinks when they just don't taste good. Another one that I've seen is like teas. A lot of places don't really need to offer tea. And this is kind of like, this is an interesting one, right? Because I went to get curry one day. This was I think like 2 years ago. I went to get curry one day and I was like, oh, what a good meal. Let me wash it down with the green tea. I ordered the green tea thinking because it's a curry place that they're gonna have like a nice green tea. It was from a bag, and they gave it to me like in a Lipton bag, no shame, just in the cup, just like that. Brought it to me, hot water, $2.50 for a Lipton bag of green tea. Your place doesn't need to offer tea if you're using Lipton. That's a very unique situational take, and that like just popped into the middle of my head right now, but I think it still holds. I think it still holds. Or I don't know, like it's just like all these little opinions and things that I really should remember. But situationally, they don't pop up unless it happens. All right, I didn't think this iced matcha opinion was a thing until I realized, well, last iced matcha I got yesterday at this cafe down the street, I'm not gonna name it, but it just wasn't good. It just wasn't. And then I realized, okay, every other iced matcha that we've gotten isn't good either, unless it's been from an urban matcha, a matcha maiko. When we were in Japan, those were great, but they don't really do iced matcha over there really unless it's Starbucks. Crazy. Crazy to believe that you can flip on yourself, complete 180 because of the people around you, or because you're shy, or you're lacking a little bit of self-confidence, or maybe it's just not your day. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing incorrect with kind of hiding who you are, but I do think that there's a nuance, and I do think that it's very beneficial to always kind of wear yourself on your sleeve. You stay hidden for too long, and your opinions start to fade, and what you believe begins to be what you, or the opposite of what you were believing, what you built on because of the people around you were thinking that, right? Maybe this is a conversation on societal pressure. Maybe this is a conversation on peer pressure or self-confidence, or maybe this is a conversation on opening up and being comfortable with your opinion in your body, with your voice. Maybe it's a completely different discussion entirely, and I'm just rambling on about this hot take discussion. But they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, I paid money for that iced matcha drink. I expect it to taste good. I have these opinions, and I vocalize them, and I just kind of expect to be validated, recognized, right? And not everybody's going to hear you. And that's one thing that is a little difficult to take in, is that not everybody's going to listen. Not everybody's going to take your opinion as yours, and they might combat you, they might argue with you, they might say, well, you're wrong regardless, but that's the point of an opinion. Opinions, for the most part, necessarily can't be wrong, because they're just your thought on a subject. They're not fact. And we learned this like in elementary school, opinion versus fact. And again, I say for the most part because there are exceptions, but opinions aren't meant to be kind of proven. They're meant to be unique. They're meant to be fought. They're meant to kind of butt heads with other opinions on the same topic. I can get on and talk about how much I don't like X genre of music, but somebody else does, and they don't like my genre of music. I get it. I do get it. You know, different upbringings, different opinions, different values, different interests entirely. Some people like one thing that I don't like are Mexican like tripa tacos, tripe intestine. I hate it. And I think that's because I've had like a bad experience as a kid. But there are people out there that like, they swear by it. It's so good. You fry them just right. You clean them out. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I had my share when I was a kid, when I was growing up, because they were cheap and, you know, they were just what we had at the time. But nah, don't get that away from me. I'm not eating that. Another one is music. I went into a record shop the other day and they had this like super heavy metal music that was like and I'm not into that. I'm not into it. And I don't really think anybody else in the record store was, besides the two workers. Interestingly, because like you look around and you kind of gauge the people around you, like, yeah, no, you wouldn't like this, you wouldn't like this, I didn't like it. But what am I gonna say? Hey, turn this music off because this is trash. The worker likes the song. They put the record on. What am I gonna do? Tell them it's trash? Get kicked out? I mean, I could have. Value my own opinion, been steadfast, but not every opinion needs to be vocalized. I think you just need to recognize and remember that these are your opinions. You need to value them and be true to them. It's not hard when you really think about it, when you don't care about what other people think. And maybe that's like the first step, right? Is not caring. Maybe that's the first step, is recognizing that nothing matters, that nobody else's opinion on you or your opinions matter. Because this is a very kind of closed topic. As wide open and vocal as I'm asking you to be, this is a very unique and closed and introverted topic to discuss, because opinions are your own and nobody else's. They might be influenced by outside factors, don't get me wrong. By whether it's historical, cultural, societal, familial, all these factors that can wage in. And one of the biggest ones out there, and this might be also controversial, is religion. And I'm not saying it's an opinion, but I'm also not saying it's a fact. It's a belief, right? And in a sense, beliefs in their own way are opinions. Maybe a bit of a stronger word, yeah, but you kind of boil it down to that. I believe one thing, you believe one thing, they believe another thing. But I'm not going to argue about it, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't want you to argue with me about it, because I just don't care. And that's just me personally, right? Because I just don't care about what other people have to say anymore. I dress the way I dress, and, you know, listen to the music that I listen to and everything, because I grew up really caring so much about what others had to say about me and what other people thought about me, and trying to act cool. And I would lie all the time and try to be unique and have kind of like the best voice out there in terms of like opinions and speaking up and all that. And I just kind of got over it. You start to realize that it really is not worth it. And that is probably my biggest hot take, is that you should live this kind of introverted life where you're only focusing on yourself, and you should really kind of take everybody else's outside voice with a grain of salt. there are people that have good things to say. Don't get me wrong. My closest friends have amazing things to say about what I'm doing, about the way I'm living my life, about this and that. They do. I'm not disproving them at all. I appreciate them and I appreciate their opinion on my life. But to everybody else, well, who cares? Who cares? It isn't always great to be in that kind of introverted bubble, but in this case, with your opinions and kind of how self-reliant they are, how self-important they are, how valuable they are to the self, to you, to how unique they are to the person, I think in this case it does. It does matter. That's a really good matcha. I mean, I don't know. Maybe these cafes should hire me, huh? Sheesh. I am working on a little something. Way down the road. Like cafe ideas and stuff like that. But anyways. Yeah. Hot takes are pretty cool. Especially when you see them like on Twitter. Or like, social media and stuff. And they're like, oh, this and that. And they kind of open your eye about something. You're like, oh, crap. Like, that's right. Wait, I kind of low-key believe that too. And then you start telling your friends about it. And then they think you're stupid. But it doesn't matter because you think X and Y is important. Because you say that this movie sucks because this and that. That's your hot take. Because you think that this food never really was good. You only liked it because of family. And that's that. This show sucks. And that's that. These hot takes, I kind of like that word, hot take. Because it's controversial. You stir the pot. You discuss the topic. And maybe that's the whole point of debating and discussing these hot takes and verbalizing your opinions. Right? When you don't verbalize them, nothing really happens, but at least you are true to it. At least you believe it, and there is a lack of influence from external factors. But when you vocalize them and you kind of let it be known, then you're prone to argument, you're prone to debate, you're prone to discussion. And that could be a good thing in its own right too. Right? Because then you kind of see these new opinions, you kind of see these new ideas, and you form a new opinion based on that. Maybe you adopt their hot take. Maybe you can change them and they adopt your hot take. Maybe you form a new opinion entirely, which is a mix of the two. You like A, but you dislike B, and you put them together and you get C. And that's kind of like the basis of what opinions were always formed of. Influence. Influence, because it's very rare to see an opinion that's like 100% unique to the individual. But it's also very common to find aspects of an opinion that are unique to an individual. Right? Like I said, one person might believe A and another person might believe B. So then the third person is convinced that the good parts of A and the good parts of B can go together and they form C. And then they discuss with somebody else who forms D, then E, then F, and so on and so forth. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's really beautiful about opinions, is that they have that influential power. And they're not like facts, where facts are like, okay, boom, this is what it is, science says this is what it is, and that's just how it's going to be. These are fluid. These are meant to be discussed. These are meant to be fought. I don't believe matcha lattes need to be at every cafe. I don't. But somebody might talk to me otherwise and say, well, maybe if it's a basic one, or maybe if there's like unique flavor, or maybe if they do it well. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. But if somebody has something to kind of counteract me, I'm more than willing to listen, because I'm interested. I really am interested on why do you believe cafes should offer iced matcha? Why the one around the corner from you should offer iced matcha? Why the one down the street, or why as long as it's not like Starbucks or Dunkin', like those big corporations, they're obviously going to offer matcha because they follow the trends. But let's say, local mom and pop near you, the closest one, because the only place near you where you can get a matcha is that specialty shop that's like 15 minutes down the road. Why should they offer matcha when their whole specialty thing is roasting coffee? And I guess you can get in the whole debate with pastries and blah blah blah, but I think that's kind of different. Anyways, that's my hot take. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Bye.